My children, my people, make una come sit down around me. Come listen to this story because e get weight part. You see this life, na serious movie o. Today, person dey drink garri, tomorrow dey chop with king for palace. But wait o, what happens when love come mix with big secret and heavy lie? Make una relax, open una ears as I tell una the story of Princess Simi and Tunde. Two people, two different worlds, and one lie that almost scatter everything.
The glass-topped banquet table shattered under the weight of a silver soup tureen, sending scalding hot pepper soup splashing across the pristine white lace tablecloth. Look at your life. Look at your miserable, wretched life. The voice belonged to Vanessa Coca, the undisputed queen of Apex International College. Vanessa stood tall, her hands on her hips, her customized silk school blazer spotless, her eyes blazing with a casual cruelty that only immense wealth could buy. At her feet, kneeling on the polished marble floor, was a girl in a faded, oversized uniform. That girl was Simi. To the school, she was Simi Sola Bello, the charity case from the slums of Ajegule. A girl whose presence at the country's most expensive boarding school was a mistake of the scholarship board. Clean it up, Vanessa sneered, snapping her fingers. With your hands, before I report you to the principal for destroying school property, you cockroach. Simi did not cry. She looked down at her hands, the hands that at home were washed in scented water by 3 different maids before she could touch her food. She looked up, slowly meeting Vanessa's eyes. For a fraction of a second, a flash of pure ancestral authority burned in Simi's gaze, a look that had made full-grown chiefs tremble in the palace of Elegobushi. Vanessa stepped back instinctively, a cold shiver running down her spine. But the moment passed. Simi quietly lowered her head, picking up the broken shards of porcelain, letting the hot soup burn her fingers.
A week before that soup tureen shattered, the palace of the great kingdom of Ileolokun was in an uproar. The kingdom was one of the wealthiest traditional enclaves in West Africa. A coastal paradise built on ancient oil lands and generational commerce. The Oba, King Adedamola, was a man whose word was law, but his only daughter, Princess Simi Sola, was his weakness. In 3 months, on her 21st birthday, Simi was to be crowned the crown princess, a stepping stone to her eventual ascension to the throne. But Simi was suffocating.
I cannot rule a people I do not know, Kabiesi. Every person I've ever met has bowed to meet, and every friend that I have has been chosen for me. How do I know what it means to be human? How do I know what it means to struggle? I want to know the people I am going to rule. How can I pass judgment on a market woman whose roof is leaking when I've never smelled the rain from a broken ceiling? How can I understand the boy who steals bread because his stomach is empty when my biggest daily decision is whether to eat lamb or lobster?
The world out there is not the palace, Simisola. People are wicked. They bite.
Let them bite me, father. Let me attend Apex College for my final term, with no bodyguards, no royal cars, no special treatment. Let me register under my mother's maiden name, Bello, as a scholarship student.
A lion who pretends to be a sheep must not complain when the hyenas laugh. Okay, you are now Simi Bello. No royal credit cards, no royal security. You eat the common food and wash your own clothes. You will have no help from me until the final night of the term, which is the school's annual Grand Benefactors Gala, where I have already agreed to be the guest of honor.
And so, Princess Simi became Simi the orphan. When she arrived at Apex International College in Lagos, the contrast was jarring. This wasn't just a school, it was a playground for the children of West Africa's billionaires, oil moguls, and corrupt politicians. The buildings were gleaming towers of glass and white stone. The students walked the corridors as if they owned the air they breathed. On her very first day, Simi met her classmate, Tunde. Tunde was a brilliant, sharp-tongued boy from a working-class family in Yaba. He was at Apex strictly on an academic scholarship, his brain his only currency. He wore a faded school uniform, his shoes polished to a mirror shine but visibly worn at the soles. "Don't look them in the eye," Tunde warned Simi as they sat on the concrete benches outside the cafeteria, watching Vanessa Coca and her clique step out of a customized Mercedes-Benz Sprinter bus that brought them from the hostel. "Especially Vanessa. Her father is the Senate Appropriations Chairman. She thinks her family owns the country."
And what do you think? Simi asked, her voice soft, her accent carefully stripped of its royal poise. Tunde scoffed, biting into a dry piece of bread. "I think they are all parasites. The rich, the politicians, and don't even get me started on the traditional rulers. Those kings and princesses sitting in their palaces drinking wine from golden cups while the masses starve. They are the worst. If I ever see a royal person, I will tell them to their face, 'Your crown is washed in the blood of the poor.'" Simi swallowed hard. The weight of her heavy gold necklace, currently locked away at a safe at the palace, feeling like an invisible noose around her neck. Yet, looking at Tunde's fierce, honest eyes, she didn't feel anger. She felt admiration. He didn't love her for her title. He didn't even know it. For the first time in her life, someone was looking at just her. The bullying began on the third day. Vanessa Coca could smell poverty like a hound smells blood. And Simi's quiet demeanor made her an easy target. It started with whispers in the hallway. "Look at her hair. Is that attachment or thread? Where did they even find this one?" Then, it escalated to physical cruelty. Vanessa and her two shadows, Chichi and Tolani, cornered Simi by the lockers. "Hey, charity case," Vanessa called out, tossing her expensive custom-branded school bag onto the floor. "It slid out of my locker. Pick it up." Simi stood her ground, her back straight. "You have hands, Vanessa. Pick it up yourself." The hallway went dead silent. Nobody spoke to Vanessa that way. Vanessa stepped closer, the scent of her expensive French perfume filling the space between them. "Listen to me, you little church rat. You are here because our parents' taxes pay for your free food. You are a charity project. Don't ever speak to me like we are equals. If I snap my fingers, the principal will throw you back to whatever gutter you crawled out of." To back up her words, Vanessa reached out and intentionally shoved Simi against the lockers. Simi's shoulder hit the cold metal, a sharp pain shooting down her arm. Before Simi could react, Tunde dropped his books and stepped between them, his chest heaving with anger. "Leave her alone, Vanessa. Go and use your mouth to talk to your father about the roads he promised to build and leave us alone." Vanessa laughed, a high-pitched mocking sound. "Oh look, the two beggars have formed a union. Perfect match, the gutter boy and the slum girl." She turned on her heel and walked away, her clique laughing loudly behind her. Tunde turned to Simi, his hand gently touching her shoulders. "Are you okay? Don't let them see you shake. That's what they want." "I am fine," Simi whispered. But her heart was racing, not from fear, but from a profound boiling rage.
She could have called her father's chief of staff with one secret phone call and had the Coca family's properties seized by morning. But she had promised to see this through. She needed to see who these people were when the masks were off. Over the next few weeks, Simi and Tunde became inseparable. They spent hours in the library, studying by the dim light of the study lamps. Tunde taught her how to solve complex mathematics without a calculator, and Simi taught Tunde how to analyze literature with an innate understanding of human nature and power dynamics. One evening, as they walked back to the dormitories under a canopy of whispering palm trees, Tunde stopped and looked at her. The Lagos evening breeze was cool, carrying the distant scent of the ocean. "You are different, Simi," Tunde said softly, taking her hand. His palms were rough, but his touch was incredibly gentle. "When I'm with you, I don't feel the weight of this school anymore." Simi's heart broke into 1,000 pieces. She loved him. She knew it then, but she was living a lie. "Tunde, what if I told you I am not who you think I am? What if I am part of the world you hate?" Tunde laughed, shaking his head. "You? Simi, you wear a uniform that has been patched twice at the hem. You eat the cafeteria food without complaining. You are as real as they come. You could never be one of those heartless aristocrats." Simi forced a smile, but inside, a storm was brewing. The final night of the term arrived, and with it, the event of the year, the Apex International Grand Benefactors Gala. It was a night of pure opulence, designed to showcase the wealth of the school's patrons. In the grand hall, it was transformed into a sea of gold, crystal chandeliers, and velvet drapes. High society Lagos was present, politicians in overflowing agbadas, business moguls in Italian suits, and their wives dripping in diamonds and gold lace. Vanessa Coca arrived looking like a mini monarch herself, wearing a custom emerald green gown that defied the school's formal dress code, but no teacher dared correct her. Her father, Senator Coca, stood beside her, laughing loudly with the school principal. Simi and Tunde were assigned to work the event as student ushers, a punishment engineered by Vanessa through a compliant teacher. They were to serve drinks and guide the wealthy guests to their seats. "Look at them," Tunde whispered bitterly to Simi as they stood near the entrance holding silver trays with champagne flutes. "They spend more on one bottle of wine tonight than my father makes in a year. And tonight, the biggest parasite of them all is coming, the king of Ile Olokun. I hear he's donating a whole new sports complex just to show off." Simi swallowed hard. She was wearing her simple white usher uniform, her hair packed neatly in a bun. Maybe he's not a parasite, Tunde. Maybe he wants to support education. "Please," Tunde hissed. "It's all PR." Suddenly, the heavy double doors of the grand hall flew open. The brass band stopped playing its jazz tune and immediately struck a deep traditional royal rhythm. The heavy thumping of talking drums shook the floorboards. "He is here! His Royal Majesty is here!" The principal ran to the door, nearly tripping over his own feet. A procession of palace guards dressed in immaculate white tunics with crimson sashes marched into the room, their silver staff of office clearing the path. Behind them walked the king, Oba Adedamola, resplendent in a majestic robe made of pure blue asoke woven with real gold thread. His coral beads hung heavily around his neck, and his crown gleamed under the chandeliers like a constellation of stars. Beside him walked the Queen Mother and the royal elders. The entire hall fell to its knees or bowed deeply. Even Senator Coker lowered his head in respect. Traditional royalty in this part of the world held a power that temporary political office could never match. Tunde pulled Simi's arm, forcing her to kneel with him behind a large decorative pillar. Kneel down, Simi, before these modern-day gods think we are disrespecting them. Simi knelt, her heart hammering against her ribs like a trapped bird. She looked across the room and caught her father's eye. The king's gaze swept over the crowd, paused on his daughter in her humble usher uniform, and gave an imperceptible, proud nod. The principal took the microphone, his voice trembling with excitement. Your Royal Majesty, the Apex family is deeply honored by your presence. Before we begin the donations, we would love to invite the royal family to the high table. And, as requested by your palace administration earlier today, we are ready for the special presentation by the Crown Princess, who we were told has been amongst us this term, learning our ways. A murmur of confusion rippled through the hall. The Crown Princess was at Apex? Who? Where? Vanessa Coker turned to her friends, frowning. A princess was here? How come we didn't know her? She must have been in the senior luxury dorms. The king stood before his golden microphone, his voice deep and resonant, echoing through the state-of-the-art sound system. People of Ileolokun and friends of Apex, a crown is a heavy burden, but it is meaningless if it does not understand the weight of the people's struggles. For the past 3 months, my daughter, Simisola, she has lived among you. She wanted no silver spoons. She wanted to know humanity. The king looked directly at the pillar where Simi was standing. Princess Simisola, come forward. Simi stood up. Tunde pulled her dress, his voice a frantic whisper. Simi, what are you doing? Sit down. They will arrest you for treason. But Simi didn't sit down. She removed Tunde's hand from her dress and stepped out from behind the pillar. The crowd parted as she walked. With every step she took towards the stage, her posture changed. The slight slouch of the bullied scholarship student vanished. Her spine became as straight as an iron rod. Her chin lifted. Her stride became measured, regal, and terrifyingly majestic. Vanessa Coker's mouth fell open. Her face drained of all color, turning a ghostly, sickly gray. No, it's not possible. That's the charity case. That's the cockroach. Shut up, Vanessa. Senator Coker hissed, recognizing the girl's facial features from official state portraits. He violently grabbed his daughter's arm, his voice shaking. What did you call her? What did you do to her? Simi reached the stage. The principal was shaking so violently, he almost dropped the microphone as he handed it to her. The royal guards immediately formed a protective crescent around her, bowing low. Ishebe! The chief guard shouted, a traditional salute that shook the hall. Simi turned to face the audience. Her eyes scanned the room, passing over the terrified teachers, the trembling students, and finally landing on Vanessa Coker. Vanessa looked as though she wanted the earth to open up and swallow her whole. Tunde was standing there. He hadn't bowed. He was staring at her, his eyes wide with a mixture of shock, profound betrayal, and heartbreak. The girl he loved, the girl he thought was his partner in the trenches of poverty, was the very symbol of the system he despised. He looked at her, shook his head slowly, and backed away into the shadows of the exit. Simi felt a sharp tear prick the corner of her eye, but she forced it down. She was a princess now. She had a speech to give.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You're welcome. And now I would like to tell you my story. When I came to Apex College, I came looking for an education. I didn't find it in the classrooms. I found it in the hallways. I learned that money can buy a beautiful blazer, but not a beautiful soul. But I was met with people who believe that because their parents have stolen or made millions, they have the right to treat human beings like animals. Pushed, I was insulted, I was fed with cruelty, and I watched as those who claim to be leaders of tomorrow laughed at my apparent poverty.
Your Royal Highness, please, forgive us. My daughter is young. It was all a joke, a childish game. Please, we did not know.
That is your tragedy, Senator. Then you only treat people with respect only when you know who they are.
If I were truly a poor girl from Ajegunle, your daughter would have broken my spirit tonight and you would have cheered her on. True nobility is not found in the money your father steals for you or in the titles handed down to you.
True nobility is not found in a golden crown, nor is it found in the balance of a bank account. It is found in how you treat a human being when you think they have absolutely nothing to offer you.
The hall erupted into a tentative applause that quickly grew into a roaring standing ovation led by the school administration. But Simi didn't care about the applause. She handed the microphone back, stepped off the stage, and ran past the guards straight toward the exit. She had to find him. Finally, she found Tunde standing by the school's outer gates, looking out at the distant, glittering lights of the Lagos mainland. The moon was high and bright, casting a silver glow over his lonely figure. "Tunde," she called out, stopping a few feet away. He didn't turn around. "Should I kneel, Your Royal Highness? Isn't that what we parasites are supposed to do?" "Don't do that, please," Simi begged, stepping closer. "The feelings were real, Tunde. Everything I told you about how I felt, about how I see the world, it was all me, not the princess. Me." Tunde finally turned to look at her. His eyes were shiny with unshed tears. "You lied to me, Simi. You played a game with my life. To you, poverty was just a costume you could take off at the end of the term. Tomorrow, you go back to your palace. I go back to a house where the roof leaks when it rains. You had a safety net. I don't." "I wanted to know the truth," she whispered. "And you found it," Tunde said, giving her a sad, soft smile that cut deeper than any knife. "You found out that the world is broken, but you also found out that you belong to the side that broke it." He stepped out of the school gates, disappearing into the dark Lagos night, leaving her standing alone under the moonlight. Simi looked down at her hands. They were clean now, free of the pepper soup, free of the dirt. She was going back to her palace. She would wear the crown. She would be the most powerful woman in the kingdom. But she knew she would never forget the boy who taught her how to see without a title. The moral is woven deep into the fabric of life. Position and privilege are nothing but clothing that the wind of time can blow away. What remains when the clothes are gone
is the true measure of a man. The story of Princess Simi spread across the land, a modern legend told in market squares and high society parlors alike. Vanessa Koka was humbled, her family's reputation tarnished by the quiet power of a girl they thought was nothing. And Simi became a queen who ruled with a heart shaped not by the palace walls, but by the dust of the courtyard. Because at the end of life's grand theater, the crown belongs to the head, but the kingdom belongs to the heart.